everybody for joining us today. I know we're all across different time zones, but honestly, I am excited to share this topic with you. This is one of my most favorite topics. My husband says it's because I like talking. I don't know, but if you know me very well, you know I'm very quiet. I don't like talking. But if he was here, he would just be like, yeah, right, you know. So I absolutely love helping people improve their connections, you know, with the ones they care about. Because today, everything you're going to hear is not just about leadership or at work or whatever. It cuts across life. Whenever you're listening to training on any topic, be it a soft skill, be it a hard skill, always seek to see how you're going to implement it in your whole life, not just in one sphere of life, because you are a whole person and your life is not restricted to one sphere of your life. Okay. So whilst I say that, I'm just going to attempt to share my screen whilst I continue to talk. And I hope that you can all see my screen, because without seeing my screen, I shall be talking to myself. Thumbs up if you can see my screen. Thank you very much. Excellent. So let's go into the business of today. So today, as Madam Maureen said, and I think as I've said it a few times, it's talking about communicating to connect. Thank you, Candy. Today we're going to be talking about how, I mean, Madam Maureen has said almost everything. She probably just saw my notes or something. But I want to start by making you a few promises, actually one very big promise. And the promise I want to make to you today is that by the grace of God, I'm going to give you something that you can apply to your life right here, right now, okay? Wherever you are, you can apply whatever you get from here today, so that as soon as you walk out of this session today, the next person you meet, you're going to be practicing some of the tools, taking those tools and trying to implement as soon as you go out. I'm promising you today that you will be equipped with tools that you can apply in your daily lives and inside your workplace, at home, with your spouses, with your children, right? The truth of the matter is, when I started thinking about this topic, I've presented this topic a million times, right? But this one is a special one. And I think God has ordained this to be so, because you people that are here are receiving specially what God has put together for you today. So my admonition to you is that whatever you're hearing today, you've probably heard about communication. You talk about communication yourself. You talk about connection. But what I want you to do today is, when you're hearing something you've heard before, don't say I've heard it before. I want you to ask yourself a question. Yes, I've heard this before. So, but how well do I do it? Let that be your question. How well do I do it? Okay? So, how many people here today would say that they are leaders? If you're a leader, put up your hand, put on your screen. You know, are you a leader? I want to know. I don't see any hands up. Okay, I see one hand up. Abiola says she's a leader. Who else is a leader? Okay, Mr. Dineko says she's a leader. Anybody else that is a leader? Leader. How many of us are leaders? Okay, interestingly, a few people don't have their hands up. Thank you. I see all those hands. Thank you very much. Now, I am starting from this point because how you perceive yourself, you will find out as I go along that it's very important. And I want to tell you, John Maxwell, as Madam Maureen said, I'm a certified Maxwell leadership coach. And so within the Maxwell team, we said that leadership is influence. How many people believe here that they have some level of influence? If you believe you have some level of influence, I'm not saying a high level, whatever level of influence, put up your hand again. If you believe you have some level of influence in one space or the other. Okay, so thank you very much. It's still the same people that are putting on their hands. This is very interesting. Now, can I ask you a question, therefore? Those of you that haven't put up your hands, if you did not put up your hand, I want you to ask yourself, why do you think that you do not have influence? Right? Because the truth of the matter is, you influence yourself. You are the one that decides what you do. You are the one that decides when you sleep, when you wake up. So you are actually influencing yourself. And that is where it all begins. It all starts with you. So I want you to remember that as we go along, right? So only one thing starts between you and between your level of influence. I did ask you, on my screen right now, you have sort of like a puzzle. I love to call it the leadership puzzle. And within that leadership puzzle, there are a few key pieces. Who can tell me what will happen to this puzzle if I took out communication? Who? Honestly, this needs to be an interactive session. Otherwise, I'll keep quiet too. And then we won't have a session. Unmute yourself. What's going to happen if I take out communication from that puzzle? Let's do this. Let's do this. Somebody unmute and tell me. There's no right or wrong answers, so you don't need to be scared. Come on, Kende, I see you smiling at me. Go on. Give it a shot.
The entire puzzle would be incomplete.
Absolutely. It's just going to crumble. You know, if we miss that piece called communication, it's all going to crumble, right? So I want to share with you, actually, that is one of the key pieces. And John Maxwell will say, he says that if you ask me, what's the one thing that you can do to be more successful in life, I would say is to learn to communicate. And I want to tell you that only one thing stands between you and greater success in your personal and professional life. It's not your knowledge. Some people think it's knowledge, so they keep acquiring knowledge. It's not your skills. It's not your experience or your talent. It's your ability to communicate and connect with people, right? How many here want to improve their results in life, at home, at work? If you want to improve your results, can I see your hands up? Otherwise, you're in the wrong place, to be honest. Hello, do you want to improve your results in all areas of life? Yes, I'm seeing a few more hands that I didn't see before. Hi, Toroma, I see you. Okay, second, hi. Now, you can see the Harvard Business Review. How many people have heard of Harvard Business Review? The Harvard Business Review says that the #1 criteria for advancement and promotion for professionals is the ability to communicate effectively. I didn't say that. The Harvard Business Review said that. So that tells us and emphasizes the importance of communication in leadership. And as I said, you are a leader, whether you believe it or not, because you lead yourself. All right? So that's the foundation. Now, let's start moving on. Who recognizes this? Has anybody here, am I showing my age? Or do we really recognize? If you recognize what's on the screen right now, I want you to unmute yourself and tell me what it is and what it is used for. Just feel free to unmute. I'm showing my age here. This is so sad. I think I'm the only one that knows what it is. Aisha, I see your hand up. Please unmute and tell me, please save me from myself. What is this thing on screen and what is it used for? Ah, nobody knows. People should not do me like this. So. Madam Maureen, you don't know what this is?
I know what this is. I was waiting for our vibrant audience to speak to it first. Okay, so this is like a miniature of a telephone. This was like a toy used way back that children play with, you know, when there was street life, when we all had street life. So this is one person will have the thing in the ear and the other one. It was a model of communication that they were trying to depict way back, playfully as it were.
Fantastical. Thank you so much. Yes. As she said, this is what we call communication 101.
Yeah.
The basics of communication, right? And so in our short time together, I want to help you unveil your uniqueness and your differences. and you will learn how to improve your communications with those you work and live with. So let's start by defining what is communication. You people are hell-bent on me talking to myself today, and I'm hell-bent not talking to myself. So who wants to attempt to define the word communication? What do you understand communication to mean? Come on, people. Akudo. What is communication? What do you understand communication to be?
Good evening, everyone. Communication is a means of passing information from the sender to the receiver through a channel. Now, the channel through which the information is passed from the sender to the receiver or receiver back to the sender is could be a telephone, email, mouth conversation, face-to-face conversation, or any other channel of passing information.
You have done what Napoleon could not do. Thank you so much. That's a fantastic definition. So in that definition, Akudo talked about sender, receiver, channel. Okay, sender, receiver, channel. So when we look at that, it's really a process by which information is exchanged between individuals through a common system of symbols, signs, or behavior. That's what the Webster Dictionary defines communication as. My next question is, why then do we communicate? What's the purpose of communication? Anybody, what's the purpose? Hello? Why? Why do we communicate? Yes. Suliat Wahid, go on then, please. Get me out of my misery.
Okay, ma'am. We communicate to share ideas and to exchange information.
Thank you. Thank you. We communicate to share ideas and exchange information. Fantastic. And that's true, right? That's in the most basic form, like I said. But the main reasons why we communicate are really to influence, to motivate, to express feelings, and to inform, right? So, as I said to you before, this is the most basic form of communication. And as Madame Maureen said, it's people holding the two different ends of the phone, if I can call it that, right? And where we have the sender, we have the receiver. You can tell the person with the red can or this is the person speaking. And the person with the blue is the person receiving the message. Question. And I don't care if you type this one in the chat or mute to tell me. Okay. Yes. Abisola says, communication is the exchange of information by speaking, writing, using other mediums. Thank you, Madam Maureen. Yes, I see all those answers in the chat. Now, can somebody tell us in the chat or unmute yourself, okay, whose responsibility is it when you communicate? Yes, we communicate so we can understand each other. Thank you, Olatayo. Whose responsibility is it when we communicate?
I think it's the sender or the originator.
Fantastic. Thank you. I hope you're all listening to all these answers you are giving me. So, thank you. Yes, from your Gubi, it is the sender that is responsible for the communication. Please park that in one side of your notebook or of your mind. And so this is why communication never really takes place unless it is done successfully, right? If we don't do it successfully, it causes conflict and it causes misunderstanding. Remember, you said it's the sender that is responsible for successful connection, right? Okay, so please bear that in mind. I will refer to that at a later time. Now, we've talked about communication. What do we now mean by connecting? Who can help me? How do we define connection? Anybody? How do we define connection? Who wants to try that? How do we define connection? We've defined communication. It's a process. We exchange information, sender, receiver. But then how do we define connection? Anybody? Yes, Candy.
Well, to my understanding, I would say connecting is when both parties, when the purpose of the communication is understood by both parties, and there's an effectiveness. So both parties understand what is being sent, and the receiver also understands what is being sent, and the purpose is met.
Fantastic. Thank you. Like I said, no right or wrong answer. We're all learning here. I'm also learning, right? Now, the Webster Dictionary says connection is a means of communication. It says a relationship in which a person or a thing is linked or associated with something else, right? And I want to say that human connection is a deep bond that's formed between people where they feel seen and valued, similar to what Kehinde says. So during an authentic human connection, we exchange positive energy with one another and we build trust. That is very important. As Kehinde said, human connection makes you feel heard and understood, and it gives you a sense of belonging. Okay, I'll give you an example, a story really, a true life story. Not a few weeks ago, it was on Tuesday actually, today is Friday, yeah, on Tuesday, I went somewhere to the hospital actually for a blood test, and I had been waiting. So normally you have to take numbers, right? So when I got there, the number on the screen was 21 and I picked number 22. Ideally, you would expect that within 5 minutes I'll be called, right? I was there 5 minutes, 10, 15, and I'm thinking, what is going on here? Okay. So eventually I saw this lady walking into the room and I got up and we just collided by the door of the room. And she said, oh, what number are you? I said, no, she said, why don't you take a seat? You'll be called. I said, well, I've been sitting for the past 15 minutes and no one's called me, even though when I got here, it was 21 and I'm 22. And she was like, oh, I'm really sorry. Before I knew what was happening, she had called me and I was in the room and she actually attended to me. And then we got talking, right? And then she said, oh, and I saw her name, the name on her badge. It was Folashade was the name on her badge. If you know my mom was also called Folashade. So immediately I said, oh, your name is Folashade. That was my mom's name. And that was how she calmed down. We started talking. We hit it off. And then she started telling me why I wasn't called in and a whole lot of other things. But we hit it off. We then found out that her mother's maiden name was Adeleye. And before we knew it, we started talking about how we were both from Ijebu and, and we just hit it off and started talking. And we connected. We were no longer just communicating, we were connecting, right? So really, you don't really need to understand why the techniques of connecting work. It just does. You just need to understand the principles that underpin connection and apply it. And connection is actually the ability to identify with people and relate to them in such a way that it increases your influence with them. Some people are able to connect instantly, and you'll find out a bit about them later. Whereas some people have to actually, make an effort and be intentional about connecting. But the truth of the matter is that the better we are able to connect with other people, the better our results. And so if you want to improve your relationships with your spouse, with your children, at work, with your friends, you've got to connect. You have to connect. There's no two ways about it. Because in this life, no man is an island. We need people. And you cannot do anything on your own, especially in today's world. When you are not a robot, it's robots that do everything by themselves, but they don't even do it by themselves because somebody has to program them, right? So I want to tell you today that connection is actually a teachable skill. You can learn to connect. Those of you that say you are not a leader, you can learn to lead. You can learn to improve your ability to influence people if you want to, if you decide to, if you choose to, right? So there is sometimes a problem in communication. We all know that. And that is because we think we don't need people, right? And we as human beings, Madam Maureen touched on it before, we're emotional human beings. We're emotional creatures. Emotions rule our lives. And that is why, because we're emotional, even though we think we want to believe we're logical, it all boils down to our emotional beings. You've heard it said before, watch you. If I push that button, that person will behave like that. If you know the buttons to push on people, you can even manipulate them. But we can also be logical in certain times, in certain situations. But with a trigger, we can flip. Everybody has a trigger. And when that trigger is set, you can't help yourself. You just find yourself, doing certain things. It's like a cloud descends, and then there's an emotional storm blowing out. So for that reason, I want us to share. And this is why I said it's important if you have your screen on. So right now, we have what we call Dr. Merabian's 738-55% rule. And this is about the elements of communication, breaking down communication and how it works, right? It was a research that was done, and it has been proven time and time again. Another one was done 2023, and it's still the same thing. And this is how others believe what we say when we communicate. There are three components to communication: the words, what we say; the tone of our voice, that's the way we say it; and our body language, which is what others see. So can I ask an interest? I think Dr. Ashaye knows where I'm going with this one because she's laughing already. Dr. Ashaye, help me, please, because I want to hear why you're laughing.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah, let me quickly share. I'm happy my head of operation is still around. Over the years, he's been with me for many years. Over the years, he knows that, when people are talking, I'm not really listening to the words, to the body language. So I can pick so many things, from the body language. Not what he's saying, not the voice, it's the body language, that I always look out for. And that speaks volume. So with time, I'm sure he's hearing me. When he wants to talk, he will try as much as possible not to show the body language, so that I will not be able to, interpret so many things. Sunday, I'm sorry to put you on this evening. I watch out for body language more, which gives credence to this rule. Actually, the body language that says it all, not over. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for that example, ma'am. That real life example, right? So this tells us, that is why I said, if you don't put on your screen, it's as if I'm talking to a brick wall, because I can't see your face, no body language. That's already 55% of that communication dead. So you just want me to be hearing your voices, which is just 7%. How is that feeding me? Please be fair. How is that feeding me? Is it really feeding me? You can see me, you can hear me, you've got 100% from me, and you're only giving me 7%. Abba. Be fair now, people, be fair. Be fair. I see that people are now feeling sorry for me, or they're putting on their screen. Thank you very much. But on a more serious note, right? This model, it just tells us, like Dr. Ashaye says, that it's not really what you're saying. It is, but again, by the time I combine the tone of your voice and I can read your body language, then I truly understand, especially when it's an emotionally charged discussion or a sensitive discussion. And so this model helps us that when we communicate, we make our messages clear, not only in our choice of words, but also in our facial expressions, tone of voice, and body language. And by doing this, we can minimize miscommunication and misunderstanding. And when thought, emotion, and action are congruent, connecting goes beyond what we say. because we are now emoting what people can feel, and we are connecting with them more than just verbally. How many people agree with me? Yeah. So let me ask you a question. If we're on WhatsApp or social media, how many using this chat? What's the percentage that we're actually relaying on WhatsApp or email? What's the percentage we're actually relaying? You can type it in the chat. Anybody? There's no right or wrong answer. We're all learning. What's the percentage we're actually communicating when we're on email or WhatsApp?
That would be 7%.
Hey, Tora, I didn't see you there. How you doing? Yes, 7%.
Fine, thank you.
7. Can you believe that? That is why, if you want to talk to somebody about something important, pick up your phone. Pick up your phone. Because at least you'll have 45% instead of just that 7%. Right? So I hope we understand the importance of actually still picking up our phone to people, or even having a face-to-face conversation with people. If that conversation is really important to you, use this pie chart to determine how important it is to you. Okay, excellent. Now, based on this, let's look at the next one. These are connecting signals. So we've talked about communication, we've talked about connection. How do we then know if and when we're connecting with somebody? So I've got on my screen, if you want to take a picture, that's fine. These are some of the ways that you would know that you are connecting with people. Like I told you about, Fola that I met the other day. She went the extra mile when we connected. She started feeling good about what she was doing. She was emotional. She was saying positive things. So I knew, we had connected. Her effectiveness was much. So these are some of the ways you can tell, that you are actually connecting with people. I'm moving on. So if you want to take a picture, take it now before I go. Right. Now, connecting with people. I've talked about how to recognize that. But then, as I said before, some people find it easy, and that's fine because we're all different personality types, and I'll touch a bit on that as well. But there are also, if you find common ground, like that lady, we found common ground. Number one, I found common ground by seeing the name and saying, oh, you have the same name as my mom. And then she said, oh, Adeleye, that's my mother's maiden name. And then we connected, boom. And it became easy. So it's about finding common ground. Try not, if you want to go to a meeting with somebody, research that person on the internet, or use internet for good reasons. Go on their Facebook profile. My husband says, you are a snooper, but I do it a lot. I snoop because I want to know who I'm going to see, right? So I snoop on their Facebook profiles. I snoop on their LinkedIn profiles, find out a little bit about them. Why? Because I want to know what I have in common with them when I get there. How can I speak effectively with them, right? Do we have something in common? Were they in projects before? Then I can talk about project management, right? Are they married with kids? Then I can talk about having children. People love to talk about themselves, right? Once you know that, then you're in for a good treat. So what are some of the common barriers that stop us from connecting with people? Assumption. You already think you know what they're thinking. You think you know what they know, what they feel, and what they want. A common one is, I know how you feel, oh. Hey, Jesus. Whenever I hear myself saying that, I'll say, sorry, I don't know how you feel. I cannot know how you feel. I can only empathize with you, but I really cannot know how you feel. Okay. Another one is arrogance. People feel that they don't need to know what other people know. They don't need to know what other people are feeling or wanting. That is arrogance. Or indifference. I don't care to know what others know, feel, or want. I only care about what I know. And then control. I don't want others to know what I know. That one is very prevalent in an organization where people have been there for years. They don't want to share their knowledge. So they hold on to it. And that's what we call working in silos. They want you to come to them and ask them all the information so that they can be the Lord and the Master. But guess what? Connecting is all about other people. It's not about you. Remember, it's about the person sending the information. There has to be, for communication to happen, we need a sender, we need a receiver. So why do we focus on ourselves instead of other people? One of the reasons is immaturity. Another one is ego. And I'll go a little bit deeper into ego in a minute. I think it was either Kennedy or Madam Maureen that talked about valuing people. So you don't feel the need to connect because you don't value the person. And then if you want to control, it's because of your own insecurity, I'm sorry. Because you feel that if you hold on to control, you will have that job forever. But in this day and age, that doesn't really cut the bacon anymore. So 3 questions I want to leave with you. I got this from Daddy Maxwell. Yeah? But I love this question. And I want you to apply it in everything you do. 3 connecting questions. Number 1, do you care for me? Number 2, can you help me? And number 3, can I trust you? So let us be your guiding questions when you want to connect with people. Care for them. Be ready to help them. Be ready to open up enough for them to trust you. Remember I talked about ego? I've got another model and tool for you. Apart from the meridian, this is another one. It's called the PAC model, or transactional analysis tool, or 3 ego states. So this is my second tool to you this evening. When we say PAC, it's talking about parent, adult, child model, right? It's a model of personality and communication, and it's widely used in organizations and counseling settings. So like you can see on screen, we've got the parent's ego state, the child ego state, and the adult ego state. The parent state is actually all of the values and morals that you have learned from influential parent figures since you were born. The child ego state is, those archaic relics of your childhood. Like me, I was showing you a picture of agolo and thread that we used to play with when we were little. Those are relics of my childhood, right? It consists of all the emotions you experienced when you were little. I want you to notice on the screen that both the parent and the child ego states have both positive and negative functions to them. And they are further broken down. The nurturing parent, which is bringing somebody along like a mentor or a coach, or the nannying parent, which does not allow people to grow, right? And then we have the critical parent, keeping others safe, judgmental, angry, severe. And for the child ego state, we have the free, the natural child with uncensored feelings and energy, fun and affectionate, adventurous, loves and hates, laughs and cries, is trusting, knows no rules. Then we also have the adapted child, who has learned to comply with wishes and demands, who adapts and copes to dealing with situations, compliant behaviors, always apologizing, dependent, wanting to please, whines, feels guilty, feels resentful, asking for help. As I'm going on, I want you to be placing yourself in different situations, different circumstances in each of these ego states. And of course, we have the adult ego state, which is the rational, unemotional way of behaving. It enables us to deal with the reality, the here and the now. What is happening here and now. It is the state in which we can plan, consider, decide, and act. And when we are in this state, we have all of our knowledge and skills available for immediate use. So it's not just what we say or how you say it. It's also where your ego state, where are you saying it from? Are you saying it from a parent ego state? Are you saying it from a child ego state? Are you saying it from an adult ego state? It's not about your age. where those words are coming from. So for example, when somebody's angry with you, some of us will say, I'll teach you a lesson. I will show you. Right? So instead of teaching them a lesson, which is typically a parent's ego state, or crying, which is a child's ego state, why not ask the person what he needs from you or what she needs from you? Make it a wonderful conversation, right? Or sometimes you can hear yourself saying something like, you should wake up early. Where did you get that from? Is it from when you were younger and your mother said you had to wake up at 5 a.m.? Does it even matter in this situation right now where your child is? I don't know. But you have to, it's about the here and now. That's the adult ego state. It's what's happening here and now. Don't bring your childhood into your child's life. Don't live your life through your child. Yeah? Review the situation objectively and respond in a non-prejudicial manner as an adult, right? You don't dictate to people as an adult. You use good judgment instead of emotions to make decisions as an adult. Okay, so this model is really about our interactions with others. If you're overly critical, it's likely that you hold yourself to a very high standard, and you probably criticize yourself as well when you don't meet those standards. Our ego states are constantly shifting. Our character is formed from learned behaviors and felt experiences. Okay, so change is a process. It's not really a case of learning new behaviors. It's a case of unlearning the thoughts and feelings that are constraining us. And so this model can help you to name the parts of yourself that take you away from being a proactive adult that responds to the present moment. We already said that there are two parties in any interaction, the one who speaks and the one who listens. Change happens when we focus on adjusting both of these voices. We can change how we speak, and we can also change how we interpret what we hear. And this applies to communication with others and for our own internal dialogue with ourselves. Yeah? Okie dokie. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop it in the chat so that I can answer, or we can take it to the Q&A later. Now let's have some fun. Let's have some fun. I've got two diagrams on there. It's about the elevator. On the left is an empty elevator. On the right, you see people chatting. We've said that communication and connecting is about you, first of all, and then about others. So it's really, really, really about knowing yourself first of all, and then getting to know those around you. It's really about your level of self-awareness and understanding yourself, your personality, your patterns, your style, and then understanding the same things of those people around you. So I wonder, this little game we're going to play is really to find out how much you know yourself, first of all, and then how much you know those around you. So I'm going to need all of you to unmute or be ready to type in the chat, because this is a quick fire game. I don't want us to spend long on it, right? So either unmute yourself or be ready to type in the chat, because it's going to be quick. Right, let's do this. So on the left, we've got an empty elevator. On the right, we've got some people chatting. And so life is really about patterns, understanding our own personality patterns and style and those of those around us. And when we do, we know what to expect. And if you know what to expect, you use the right strategy to bring your best to your life, your career, your business, and your relationships. So, my question, when you're waiting in an elevator, as the doors begin to open, Do you secretly hope that no one else is in the elevator so you won't have to go through that awkward moment as you walk into the elevator of trying to figure out if they're going to want to talk to you? Do you wish the elevator would go a little faster so you can make a very quick exit? Which one are you? Are you the one that wants to quickly just go? Nobody should see me. Let me hide in one corner. Or are you the one that...
I'm not the type.
Sorry?
I said I'm not the type. I'm always want someone behind me. Like, we move together.
Okay, so you want to hide in a corner. You are the one that wants to hide. Okay. Who is the one that as soon as they go in, they wish that there's somebody there. As soon as they see somebody there, they're like, hey, how are you? How you doing? What's up? That's advance. Did you see?
I think for me, it depends on my mood.
Depends on your mood.
Exactly, in terms of whether I want to initiate a conversation. But I would greet the person, and if a conversation starts, I will continue the conversation.
I love your honesty. Thank you so much. Somebody says, I already know. No, I don't. I prepare my mind to greet because it's an elevator. Anybody could show up. Stella says, I want to be seen. Of course you want to be seen. Yes. Stella says, I want to be seen too. Can you see how we are different? Some people want to hide. Some people want to be seen. Okay, let's continue. Let us continue the interaction. Now, I've got another scenario for you. This is people going on holiday. Okay. Holiday
as for me,
hello, Temitope? Are you speaking to me? No? Okay. So just like in the elevator example, I want you to look at these two.
For me, it depends on the...
Who is speaking? Okay. So I want you to look at this example, similar to the elevator example. Again, do you know yourself or do you know those around you? As you're answering this question about yourself, be answering it for your children, for your husband, for your wife. You know, I want you to have that mindset. So you said, some of you said you are the one that wants to talk to strangers. Some of you said you want to hide in the corner. Okay, no problem. Now, here we have another set of pictures. We have on the left, those that are on holiday, they're like, yay, holiday is coming, I'm here. Let's find the beach. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Then there are those, they have holiday, but all they are bothered about is their list of, oh, I have to pack this, I have to do this, I have to do that. Clothes, money, passports. Which one are you? Are you the one that has to have everything planned out? Or are you the one that is just like, let me just go? Excuse me, please tell me. Unmute and share. Go with the vibes. It depends on my mood. Who is the planner amongst us?
I am the excited type. I just want to go on holiday and just enjoy myself.
Fantastic.
I'd like to be on a cruise, Mediterranean cruise, kind of people. I like to go to Bahamas. I like to just enjoy myself. One life. Just when I want to do something, I go all out to do it. That's why I can't be easy. I cannot be in a place that they put up there. I mean, they must know somebody. They got my vibes. My vibes. I want to be seen. I want to be known. Because the kind of what I do, I need to be known. I've seen a business in the lift before. I want to be seen.
Thank you.
Even if you don't want to talk, I'll force you to talk.
Thank you, Abisola. Yes, I know you. I feel you. That is exactly. Meanwhile, I think it was Suliyat that was saying before, I want to hide. Candidate said she wants to hide. This is very interesting. I hope you have seen a pattern as we are going on. Because Kehinde is also telling me that she loves to plan. And she's the one that loved to hide before. Olayemi says, I love to be detailed. I don't like to forget anything. I always stick to plan. Jesus. I'm sure Abisola is not like that too. All right. Can you see how we are so different? Olatayo. Sorry?
I have a question. I was wondering if this is before the holiday.
Sorry, you went off. I didn't hear the last piece of your question.
Okay, can you hear me? Is it before the holiday planner, or are you just excited? Or is it during the holiday? Are you still planning, or are you, just having fun?
Which
I'm
one
trying
are
to
you?
understand the question.
Oh, it can be before, it can be during. Abisola is not going to be planning at any point in time. Let me tell you, she's just going to buy her tickets and she's gone, right? But some people cannot go on that holiday without planning it.
I think I would like to plan what I'm going to actually do when I get there, and then have fun when I'm there also.
Fantastic. Hold that thought in your head as well.
Sorry, excuse me,
I got that.
ma, I will plan. Abisola will plan. But only that I will plan before, but immediately I take off, no planning again. I've already planned what I want to plan.
Exactly.
When
Exactly.
I take off, I involve myself in everything. Of course, I will plan. In fact, I plan a week before. I will be putting those stuff in my box, in my traveling box. Putting those stuff in my traveling box, my God set, my everything. Because when I get there, I'm just going to blow.
We are going to blow. I like that one.
I'm just going to blow.
Okay. Now, can I ask who said they like to plan? Oh, Abiola.
Me.
Yeah.
I wanted to also expatiate on why I said that.
Yeah.
In 2021, my friend and I, we went to Ghana, and that experience really taught me a lot because she really loves Ghana. So she planned everything we were going to do in it was very extensive. Oh, you have to go to do COVID, it's going to cost this, blah, blah, blah. When we get to Ghana, we're going to this restaurant, we're doing this for this day. We even went to go and get tour guides that are going to help us, explain the historical venues that we're going to go to. We just planned everything. It was very, very detailed. So when we went there, we knew every day, we know what we want to do on that day, so we didn't have to plan anymore once we got there. And it was so much fun.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. I'm conscious of time, so I'm going to skip right ahead. Now, I've got something for you. Now, I'm going to show you the next screen, and I want everybody to pay close attention. And I want you, please don't hesitate. It's very important. It's a 5-second rule. Look at the screen, type in what you see in the chat. No cheating. Don't wait for anybody else. Look at the screen, type what you see in the chat. 5 seconds. Let's go. Look at the screen, type what you see. No right or wrong answer. Thank you, Sunday. Next, please hurry up, type what you see. Yeah, I'm seeing a few things. If you do not see what they see, type what you see. Okay. Okay. Type what you see. Everybody is typing what everybody is saying. There are many things that can be seen from this picture. I want what you see. Thank you, Mrs. Adeneko. Okay. Thank you, Abiola. I love that description. I love it. Thank you. Now, this is an illusion. You can see a few things. Right. A lot of you are seeing the lady, although some people are saying they leave it. Adetola, what do you mean by worried woman?
Okay, the reason why I said worried woman is because she's turning to the side, and there's black in terms of what she's wearing.
Okay.
So, and her lashes look like she's closing her eyes. So, yes, it's not like a very happy picture, or her facial expression doesn't look like she's happy. The darkness is just kind of gloomy. So maybe she was in a bad mood when she woke up, so she wore black.
Okay. Thank you. Interesting. I'm going to ask all of you to look again. Look again. See whether you see something different to what you saw before. Try and move backwards and see if you will see something different from the young lady. Ah, Abiola says an old lady. Yes, Abiola is seeing the old lady. I think somebody else saw the old lady earlier on. Abiola was the only one that saw the ugly old woman. Fantastic. Can you all see the old lady now? Okay, now this is an interesting picture, right? I normally use, yes, Adetola can see the old lady now. Interesting, isn't it? It is interesting. This is what we call, an illusion. And why I've brought this into this discussion is because communication is really, and connection is sometimes about perception, right? If not mostly about perception. And when this experiment was done, it was actually done in one of those popular universities in America. Most people who were young saw the young woman. So you were able to see who you are, basically. The older generation saw the older lady, and the younger generation saw the younger lady. So you see who you are. And this is referred to as my wife and my mother-in-law. That's what this is called. So you can imagine who they are calling the wife. The young lady is the wife. The ugly old lady is the mother-in-law. Okay. So it's known as an ambiguous illusion. Now, I want to bring everything home now. Why this illusion? Why the exercise on elevators and holidays? Now, we laughed about it all, and I'm glad we did. But you all shared to me, you like to plan, you don't like to plan, you like to have fun. You want to hide in a corner when you get in an elevator. You want to hope somebody's there so you can have a conversation. It's about here, right now, there are about 32 of us on this call. Some of us have different things in common, but we don't all have the same things in common, right? And looking at this picture, as I said, it's about your level of awareness. It means that even in this small group of people, we have certain things in common, and we can recognize these personality differences and accept them. And as we begin to accept our differences, it helps improve our communication a whole lot more. So it all depends on where your awareness is. Once I said, look for the old lady, you were able to see the old lady. It's the same picture. I haven't changed anything. It's the same picture viewed differently by different people. Some saw the old lady, some didn't see the old lady, right? So, and we haven't changed. You are still the same person, but something changed. It was your awareness.
Hello, coach, are you there?
Yes, I am. Madam Maureen, I can hear you. So, we don't see the world as it is. We see the world the way we are. That is what I am trying to help you to understand. And this goes a long way towards explaining why we don't get what we want. We get what we are. And the implications of this are enormous, especially where it relates to communication. We all see the world differently. And this tells us, every exercise we've done now helps us to understand that we are all different. We all see the world differently. We all have different beliefs, different values, different things are important to us, different passions, expectations and tolerances are different. We are all different. But guess what? We are uniquely different. And so when we become aware of the pattern of how other people communicate, we not only know what kind of communication to expect from them, we also know how to best prepare for, interact with, and respond to them so that we can have a successful connection. So I'm just going to share this with you. Now, everything we've done so far It's about understanding perspectives, how we each view. You can look at it, A to B in the white person. It's just a straight line. They're very simple. But A to B in the other person goes through many, many loops, but they're still going from A to B, right? So the person, the white person has reached B long before this yellow person has reached B. But it doesn't mean they're not all going to get to the same place. So in the next 5 minutes, I want to share with you a tool that for me has helped my communication grow astronomically. And it will be an injustice for me to talk about communication and not talk about one of the best tools that I have found has been very useful over and over and again in my home. It has helped me to mend my relationship with my daughter, with my husband, and with my friends. I understand people so much more better now. And that is my final tool to you, which is the DISC, right? So earlier on, I talked about who loves to plan. Those are the people that are task-oriented, the planners. The people that want to hide in the elevator, those are the reserved people, right? The people that love to go and have a party, they want to blow. Those are the outgoing people. And the people that are not so much task-oriented, they want to consider people before they do things. Those are the people-oriented people, right? So this framework of this is not meant to label us or place us in a box. It's just supposed to help us to understand who we are, the outgoing people. Not that we are all whole people. We're just different, as I said, uniquely different. And each of us is actually a combination of these styles. So some people can be DI, which means that they are task-oriented and they are outgoing. While some people can be outgoing and people-oriented. That is I, right? So nothing is wrong with anybody. We just need to know who we are, and we need to understand who the other person is, right? So people that love to plan, there's nothing wrong with them. That's just how they're wired. You saw A to B. The wiring is different in each person. And so wouldn't it be wonderful if you could connect with everyone in your workplace or in your personal life, irrespective of your differences, right? Wouldn't it be good to get a better understanding of your natural wired style and be able to identify patterns in other people, to be able to understand their style and how they are wired as well? You see, once we become aware of the pattern, we know what to expect. And you might ask me, why is it important to know somebody's DISC style? It's because, as I said to you before, we are humans and we are emotional beings. And so when we communicate and connect, we need to be human. We need to treat people with the platinum rule. I'm sure you've heard about the golden rule, right? The golden rule from the Bible that talks about treat everyone how you would like to be treated. But from the exercise we've just done now, where some people like to be quiet, some people like to talk, some people, like to plan, some people don't like. So if I treat you the way I want to be treated, we're going to have problems, okay? We're really going to have problems. So the platinum rule says to treat other people the way they want to be treated, not the way you want to be treated, the way they want to be treated. So if you want to know how they want to be treated, you need to know about them. You need to invest time in knowing them, understanding them, and then you can treat them the way they want to be treated. And I dare say that this is why a lot of marriages are breaking up these days. A lot of relationships are breaking up these days. Mother, daughter, father, child, breakdown. Because, as I said to you, I talked about the adult parent-child ego states. You are projecting onto that child. You are not sitting down to say, okay, child, tell me, talk to me. I want to understand you. Let me understand you. Talk to me. And tell you something. When you sit down and want to understand the child, remove all assumption. Remove all control. Remember those barriers we talked about? Remove them and be open and ready to connect with that child. Be ready to connect with your spouse. No judgment. No prior judgment. Okay, I'm coming home now. I'll tell you a little story about this. In my home, I've told you a little bit about it. So my last born, she's now 18. For years, I struggled connecting with her. It was so difficult, to have a conversation with her. Those of you that know her know that, it could be quite difficult. And it got to a point where if I wanted to talk to my little girl, my older daughter would have to be there for us to have a serious conversation, right? And then that was me and her. We could even sit down in one room and have that conversation, which was broken. But then she and her father, oh my goodness, it was crazy. They just couldn't sit together to have a conversation. And then we took the disc assessment as a family and had a debrief as a family. And honestly, it was so empowering because now we understood her, why she was behaving the way she was. She understood why her father was doing the things he did, that it wasn't that he hated her, or we understood that it wasn't because she was trying to wind us up. It was just the way she was wired. And so we had to take time to understand how to communicate with her. And she took time to understand how to communicate with us. And you'll be pleased to know that now she comes to our room at night. We will sit down, have deep conversations, wonderful conversations. And honestly, it is such a blessing. So I want to submit to you that there's no relationship that has broken down so much to the extent that you cannot recover it. Most of it is about being intentional. So I want you to go away with an activity. I want you to think of a relationship in which communication is not great right now. Don't tell me, write it down. And I want you to spend some time to reflect and write down the situation, putting yourself in the other person's shoes. Not in your shoes, because honestly, they upset you, they annoyed you, they shouldn't have spoken to you like that. But I want you to put yourself in the other person's shoes. And then in your next interaction with that person, I want you to now remember everything we've said today and listen without judgment, without assumption, believing that they are different to you and there's nothing wrong with them being different, and try to see whether what you wrote is in line with what you're hearing. That's a good exercise to helping you to understand people better and to interact with people. So we've talked about the golden rule and the platinum rule. We've talked about communicating and connecting. Remember, if you're communicating in your style, you'll be alienating everybody. Seek first to understand before the problems come up, before you try to evaluate and prescribe, before you try to present your own ideas. Seek to understand, because when we really deeply understand each other, we open the door to creative solutions and alternatives. Our differences are no longer stumbling blocks to communication and progress. Instead, they become stepping stones to connection and synergy. And with this, you have the secret to unlocking the door to greater communicating and connecting with each other. Thank you very much.
Oh, wow. Ladies and gentlemen, ladies, no gentlemen here. Please, 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 could you just kindly appreciate our coach? Coach Lola, you took it up and over and above. Well done, well done, well done, well done. Wow. I was writing copiously. My books are so full. I don't even know how I'm going to download everything you've said. So what you've actually done for us this evening, you put in our hands great keys that can unlock communication with our spouses, with our children, in the workplace, and everybody that comes our way. You've actually shown us the way to go. You've actually also painted a portrait of everybody. So from your exercise, you're telling me that I'm a very reserved person. So it means that if I'm going to communicate with somebody else that is very, like my sister that was just, I have to come to her style. I have to know her to connect with her. My own personality will not connect with her because she's, thank you so much. Can we once again just appreciate Lola? You are not called a coach for nothing. You did well. Well done. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
I could just go on and on talking about, reverberating about everything you've said, a strong point for me, but I don't want to be the only one speaking. So I want to have an open mic session. I'm overwhelmed. I can't just get over everything you've said. Is it the dicks? Is it that we are whole? Is it that without communication, every other virtue? Imagine if you're very intelligent, you're very excellent, you're very rich, whatever it is that you have, without communication, all of those virtues comes to nothing. It crumbles. So communication is like, what's the word now? It's like the thread holding every other thing together. Wow, wow, wow. Please let us let the comments come in, let the question come in. Or if you want to speak to any of the topics, any of the slides that connect so well with you, please can you raise up your hand and we'll call on you. Yes, Mr. Deneko, I see your hand. Let me just see how many people so that I can just take them in order, and I'll be at the back end seeing that everybody is attended to. Let me also go to the chat area to see their questions. Okay, they are just there. Everyone is appreciating you, Lola. Well done, well done. Okay, I see only Mr. Denekon's hand up. Do we have anyone that wants to ask questions or want to speak to anything? Okay, so there's a question from Ada. Okay, let's take from Mr. Denekon. Then we'll come to Ada's question in the chat area. Okay. So, Mr. Denekon, please, the floor is yours. You could unmute your mic and ask your question. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. President, thank you. That was fantastic. Those tools are, very useful. I just want to add the question of, I just wanted to contribute in terms of biases that we have. The biases we have that help that hinder proper communication. And the question is, are biases good or they are evil? That sort of thing. And do we really need biases, for communication, or we should just jettison them? Or how do we deal with our biases? I want to say this quickly, that our biases are formed. They're part of the way we were nurtured. We pick them up, we learn about them, and it's to help secure us. It's to help us make some decisions in life. It's to guide the decisions that we will probably make in the future. But maybe some of the, depending on the culture, the biases are different. And so at a point in time, if you want to communicate properly, you must, or if you want to read somebody properly, you must understand biases, and if you and be ready to do away with your bias to connect with whomever you want to communicate with. Thank you very much. Great evening. Thank you very much for that, President.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Adenekon. Thank you for the addition, very rich as well. So, Coach, there is a question in the chat area that speaks about how do you prevent yourself from being disrespected or manipulated? You want to speak to that?
Thank you. So the question is, how do you prevent yourself from being disrespected or manipulated when you are the one always putting yourself in their shoes and making compromises, and they don't do the same? Interestingly, this comment, the comment I get all the time, but it's not as simple as answering this comment because there's a lot to this question. Who is asking me this question? Ada Montreal. Okay. Can you speak or not? I just want a yes or no to what I said. There is a whole lot more.
Yeah, I can speak a bit if that's okay.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, no, I'm just curious because you made really interesting points about trying to put yourself, trying to see things from people's perspective and all of that, trying to understand where they're coming from and putting yourself in their shoes. And yeah, I get that, but I'm just coming out of a friendship where I did so much to put myself in this person's shoes and ended up thoroughly abused and thoroughly emotionally, psychologically battered, you know, and everything, you know, I try to prevent this person from being homeless, supported them through joblessness, because I felt like, oh, I know exactly what it feels like to have been there. And, you know, and everyone else was telling me, oh, kick them out, you know, all of those things. But I just felt like, oh, let me put myself in their shoes. Months now later, I'm trying to heal. I'm trying to make sense of where I've been. And I'm ashamed because I'm that person, I'm that girl who will say, I don't know, that could never be me. But that was me. And I went through that. So where's the line? How do you draw the line? How do you make sure that in putting yourself in your shoes, you're protecting yourself? Because many of the times we stand in our ways of doing things because we need to protect ourselves. So yeah, I'm just curious as to how to draw that line. It seems like easy to say, but I just find that in practice it's much harder. And what would be the advice in practice?
Okay.
Because yeah, just to say, like right now I'm really defensive, and I've always been quite defensive of myself, but you know, that was a slip. And now, like, if anything is happening, I'm like, nope, I'm not going to deal with this. And I'm not sure it's also the way I want to be, right? So yeah.
No, thank you for sharing that with us and being very vulnerable and open about it. I get where you're coming from now. That was why I said that question had more to it. Because each time I've been asked that question, there has definitely been more to it, which was why I was certain of that. Now, there's another tool, another model, which I did not share today, and that is like a triangle. And it talks about the victim, persecutor, and the rescuer, okay? Now, at any point in time, we are revolving between persecutor, victim, and rescuer, okay? The rescuer, which is what you played in this situation, is the person that feels that I need to rescue this person, I need to take care of that person. And then the persecutors were the ones that were telling you, oh, you shouldn't have done that, you shouldn't, da, 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 da. In the instance at the beginning, that person was the victim. But what you're telling me right now is that you have become the victim. Am I right?
Yes. Yeah.
You have become the victim. Now, there's no right way, there's no wrong way. The truth of the matter is this, and I'm going to try and be, I don't want to be diplomatic. I'm never diplomatic, but I understand the emotion that you're going through. So I'm going to be empathetic with you. Okay. But what I would say is I'm happy to have a conversation out of this meeting with you because I believe it needs that. But that is only if you're open to that. Okay. I'm happy to have a conversation outside this meeting with you. But what I would say on the surface to what you're saying is that in each relationship, we choose where we want to be. And just as I showed you, that was why I led you down that route of this person sees this differently, that person sees that differently. And then I took you to that picture of the young lady and the old lady. It's about perspectives. And what tends to happen is there are some people, even in the DISC personality style, the S personality style are people that usually find themselves in this position that you find yourself today. And that is because the S personality are typically the rescuers. They are emotional beings. They are family-oriented human beings. And so they're always wanting to take care of people. And they always feel that people are taking advantage of them. But the truth of them, and they tend to find themselves where you are now. And I commend you for saying that you don't want to be that person. You want to heal, and you can heal, and you will heal. And there are a few ways to heal. Today, I've talked about communicating and connecting with ourselves, but ultimately, we want to communicate and connect with God, and He's the only one that can heal, right? Christ is the one that heals us. And I sent something, I'm not sure if you're, no, I don't think you are actually, but to those that are in the mentorship group, I sent something during the week that talks about healing yourself, right? Yes, that person did what they did, but you are the one that owns your life. You are the one that are responsible for the state of your heart and the state of your mind. What they did was horrible, right? They took something away from you, but they cannot give you life and they cannot give you joy. And you are the only one that would determine the state of your mind. Will you continue to give them the power over your mind and over your life? Or are you going to take back that power and empower yourself to say, you've done that, but I'm bigger than that? However, one thing I want to say is this: anything that happens to us, we learn. We learn. So I want you to sit and reflect on the whole thing. You are the only one that can actually be open and honest enough to know what actually happened between the two of you. So again, my activity that I gave, I want you to take that with this person. Think of this relationship. The communication is no longer great. Reflect and write down the situation from your perspective and take a step back, just like we did with that old lady. See whether you can have a different perspective on the situation. Did you do a bit too much? That was she, for example, my daughter, she is similar to you, my older daughter. She can give her whole body to somebody, to her own expense. It's good to be nice, but there has to be boundaries.
Balance.
Yeah, there has to be boundaries. There has to be balance. You don't have to kill yourself. I mean, Dr. Ashaye knows me. I talk about self-care a lot. And I always tell people, you cannot give what you don't have, and you cannot give from an empty cup. So in as much as you're giving to people, keep refilling, keep taking care of yourself. And if at any point in time, learn to say no. Learn to say no. You cannot say yes all the time. There has to be times you put your foot down. And what tends to happen when people take advantage of people is because people are always saying yes. They know that if they come to you, I need 5 naira, and it's only 5 naira you have, you will give them. Meanwhile, you don't know where the next meal is coming from. You know, things like that. I don't know your situation, but I hope I have shed some light into it. But I really want you to do that exercise. And if you want to have a chat with me later, please connect with me. Get my details from the admin team, and I'll connect with you. Right? Thank you.
Well said, well answered, Coach Lola, well done. I would just add that Ada, you're also welcome to join us at the FBA group. It's a platform of very vibrant and upward coming ladies, and we'll be willing to welcome you into our fold. So you could think about that. So we have one more question from Bumi Igetsi. FL Bumi, over to you.
Good evening, Coach, and good evening, Dr. Babington-Ashaye. God bless you both. I just want to ask a question. I said, in an organization where you have a lot to contribute, but you're not given the chance to express yourself at meetings, and then also at the meetings, you must not say anything that is contrary to the thought of the top management. How do you thrive in such an organization where you have a lot to bring to the table, but you're not being given the chance to do so? Sometimes at meetings, they'll have tailored suit questions you should ask, answers you should give. You know, the PA to the MD may discuss with you before the meeting. And so in such organization, how do you thrive?
That's an interesting one. And I will use an example of where I worked before to answer your question. So a few years ago, before COVID, I worked in this organization and I used to be a program manager, and our program director was an ex-army officer, right? So you can imagine what that looks like. And so it was a case of my way or the highway, and this is how we do things here. And I just wasn't used to that kind of lifestyle. Right? So you can't deal with me like that. So the first meeting, me being me, as my husband said, I talk a lot, right? And I'm the kind of person that I hate injustice, and I have to speak up. If I don't speak up, I'll start crying. That's just the honest truth. So I'd rather just say it there and then. So we got to the first meeting. Imagine this first meeting was, they were welcoming us to the team, to the group. And they were all talking and they were saying, this is how you must operate. I said, that's not going to work. So I quickly made myself known, right? I just used style to share my own view. And everybody was like, whoa, she has the guts. Did I care? No. You hired me for a reason, for crying out loud. So you can't expect me to come here and keep quiet. No, that's not going to happen. Is it that, or you fire me? So they were looking at me. I was one to watch. And then we had another meeting about how we were going to execute. So the grand plan of the organization was that we were going to just put what we wanted to install, and we were not going to communicate with the people we were installing for. And I was like, how? Who does that? That's not how I work. If you want to install this thing, we have to tell the people we're installing it, not that they'll wake up one day and find out that we've done this to them, and then chaos will break open. So my director was like, who is this person? Where did you people get her from? I'm saying we are doing it this way. She said we are not doing it that way, right? So basically what I'm trying to say is this. Of course, I faced a lot of opposition for taking my stand, but I just want to say a few things. Yes, there are organizations like that. I'm not even going to say they're not. But the truth of the matter is about your values and the values of that organization. Are they in sync? Do you know what the values of that organization is? Do you know what your values are? Because the truth of the matter is, when you start working day in, day out, in disalignment to your values, you will start getting stressed. And that is why a lot of us are under stress. Okay? So, in that kind of environment, I'll first of all tell you to work out for yourself. Why are you there? What brought you there? Why are you still there? The way they operate now, because I put my foot down from day one, is different from you who has been in that organization for a long time. It's going to be quite difficult for you to start doing what I did. But the thing you can start to do is start to understand the people there. And there's one thing we call permission communication, where they've said to you, this is how we're going to do, this is how we're going to do. One thing is this, don't try and prove a point. Don't try and say, I have my idea. There's a way. And that is one thing women do as well with their husbands. They want to show that they know. No. Try. There's a way you can communicate with somebody that person will think that idea is their own. Meanwhile, you don't want to give them the idea. And it's in the way you communicate it. Let me teach you. So they said that this is how we are going to do it, Abby. Then you will now say your own. You say, yeah, you were saying, quote back what they said. You said this is how we're going to do it. That seems like a very, very good idea. And I was also thinking that maybe we could, So you haven't put them down. You have actually made them feel important, but you're also putting your message across, right? Another way is you're not saying, can we do it? You are asking for permission. So you're not outrightly saying this is it. You are asking in a question-like manner, not stating a fact. You are asking, but you are sharing your idea. People prefer it that way because if they say yes, it will be as if they sanctioned your idea. Do you get my point?
you.